Good evening. Welcome to the latest Sunday night live review show from Last Bell Boxing. Third time lucky, boys. Hopefully, we stay connected this time. I don't know what's going on. Apologies. We've got a few technical issues, but we'll crack straight on, boys. Obviously, we're talking about the Philly card from last night. Boots and Bam get wins. We'll talk about how they looked and what's next for them. And then at the end, we're going to go on to a topic that looks like it could be really interesting, which is Golden Boy Promotions versus Matchroom 5v5. There's been some potential names, some potential matchups that look like they've been agreed by Oscar De La Hoya and Eddie Hearn, but let's see how it goes. Right, crack straight on then, boys, and we're going to do the opposite to what we normally do. We normally start on the undercard and build up. We're not doing that tonight. We're mixing up. We're going to go straight in with Jeron Boots Ennis versus Karen
Chukhadzian. Yes.
Chukhadzian, something like that.
I can got you out of it there.
Yeah, didn't it? Well, you know what I'm like with these names, mate. Right. The official scorecards, Boots obviously won the fight on a unanimous decision. Official scorecards, 119, 107, 117, 109, and 116, 110. Now, I'm going to come straight to you, Daz, because I know how much of a massive fan of Boots you are. Little bit under par, wasn't he?
Yeah. Not his... excuse me, a bit of a technical difficulty with my nose. Yeah, it wasn't at his best last night. I mean, arguably he did better in the first fight, which he cads in. I thought he deserved to win last night. Not by that far though. Bit disrespectful to Chukadze and that. I had Boots by 2 or 3, something like that. But nothing's changed in my mind, mate, about him. I still think he's gonna be, one of the great, fighters of probably his generation. Nothing's one like below par performance doesn't change that, because can you name many other fighters who could have a really below par performance as to what they're capable of that would still come out winning a fight against Chukadze?
No.
Do you know what I mean? So he's had an off night. He's had a decent off night, but yet he's still rightly won. He's not got a gift decision. Yeah, the scores were too wide for me, but he's still pulled it out. There's things he does that I don't like, that I don't think he'd be able to do. I mean, I firmly believe he beats Terence Crawford if he boxes at his best. But there's things he does that I don't like to see that would be his unraveling against Crawford. He relies too much on reflexes. Yeah. Now, I'm not saying he ain't got good reflexes, but the fighters that he's relied on him against probably throw 1 or 2 shots in one phase. Crawford would go again and again. He'd go in 2 and 3 phases. So, he could be in a bit of bother. I think his dad were a bit miffed with him last night, to be fair.
To say the least.
Yeah, I think you're a bit... But you see, he'll know what he's capable of. And it's a simple fix. Get your hands up after you've thrown a punch. Do you know what I mean? He does tend to leave his hands down after he's engaged, and attacked. I do think he needs to sort that out, to be honest. I think he really needs to, once he's attacked, he needs to get his hands up. And there's nothing wrong with attacking and then being defensive. Yeah. You can still be offensive from your defense. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you've got to be wary. A few people have said it stunk of a bit of complacency last night from him. He probably just thought he was going to get a stoppage this time. But Chukadze's a good fighter. Look what he beat Harry Scarf, I believe, didn't he? Fairly comfortable.
Yeah. That was in Germany 6 months ago.
Yeah,
I watched that
one.
one.
One-sided, Gaz. It wasn't one-sided. Harry Scarf put up a good performance.
Yeah. He's a good fighter, obviously, and like you said, there's not many that you could name that could have an off night against him.
No.
And still come out winning, and Jerome did that. There is things that need tweaking with him, I think, and to be honest, I sort of liked the way his dad was in corner, because his dad obviously knows that as well, and he was a bit miffed at him how it was going.
The comment, I think it was round 7 when he went into the corner, end of round 6, and his dad was no nonsense. He said, "Stop messing around and just stop him in this round."
Yeah.
I think he was trying to. He wasn't dismissing Chukadzian at all. I think he was trying to wake Boots up. I'll come back to you, Daz. I just want to get Orkan's opinion. Orkan, was he a little bit switched off? Because
I believe so.
Numerous times where he was either looking to his corner during rounds or looking out to the crowd during rounds, talking to people. It's not a great.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. I think the first fight, when he won every round, 120, 108 by all judges, had a significant of his how he thought about the fight before the fight, how he saw Chakotzian as an opponent. I think they took too lightly on the fight.
Yeah.
After the first one.
Yeah. I mean, Chakotzian fought a completely different fight this fight. The first fight, Boots and his team accused him of running scared. Yeah. And he stood and traded this fight.
Yeah.
One thing that concerned me, apart from the fact that he looked like he was not properly switched on, with his antics of looking out the ring, and I don't know whether, like I said, I don't know whether he was talking to his dad in the corner or whether he was talking to somebody at ringside, but he wasn't focused, and he was shipping way too many shots to his right side from that left hook, and he didn't seem to adjust that. That was landing all night long. It's a good job he's got a good chin, is all I'll say. But at certain times in the fight, he looked exceptional. Yeah. His reflexes were brilliant. His combinations were inch perfect. But he didn't seem to stay switched on for 3 minutes of each round.
Yeah, I was a bit frustrated watching him yesterday. I sort of thought he needs to get put on his backside here to wake up.
Yeah.
But you're playing a dangerous game with that, because you could get put on your backside and don't get up.
Yeah.
I had visions with, when he's catching them left hands. I had visions, listen, Ryan Garcia will find that target with that left hook. If it's there. I mean, Ryan Garcia is exceptionally fast as well.
Yeah.
I'm not saying Ryan Garcia would beat him, because I think he will make adjustments. But, I mean, to talk, what he's done there really is he sort of made everyone say, yeah, he's not ready for Crawford. He's not ready for Crawford and stuff like that. And listen, if you make mistakes like he made yesterday, then he's gonna get found out of Crawford. But the frustrating thing is, they're just silly mistakes he doesn't need to be doing. So, very frustrated with him yesterday. Very frustrated.
One of the comments, Daz, that came out of the fight was, and I think it was the DAZN team, commentary team. I think one of them commented that they think that he's maybe done at welter.
Yeah, possibly. I think it's been hinted that he's going to now move up to 154. I mean, he's a big lad, He's
yeah.
So I mean, it might be that bit. you know, thing is, it didn't look like he were weight drained. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't a weight drain performance. It just looked like a lackluster performance mentally. You know,
maybe the comment you made about someone saying he looked like he was going through the motions, looked like he thought he was going to win the fight easily because of the first fight and the way the first fight went. Maybe that rings a little bit true. Maybe he needs to be in a fight where he's a little bit nervous to get the best out of him.
Yeah, possibly. I think, you know, Ortiz, Madrimov, I think they bring that out of him. But the thing is, Crawford's 40 years of age. You know, time's ticking. Yeah. It's gonna get to the stage where Boots is going to be in a no-win situation fighting Crawford. Or he were too old. You know, if he wins, he were too old, or if he loses, or you've lost to an old man. You know, it's getting to that stage, but I don't know. He's got some things that he needs to work on for me.
I mean, I've said it a couple of times. Where's the rush in him having to fight Crawford? He's got nothing to prove against Crawford.
No, I mean, and likewise, Crawford's got nothing to, you know, prove. V Boots, they don't have to fight each other. You know,
it's a matchup. It's a matchup for the boxing fans. That all the fans want it. I'm sure. Most of the purists want it because there's always been that question. You know, Boots has been in the shadow a little bit. It's fair to say. He's been a fighter that's been. People haven't wanted to fight him, Daz. You know, he's one of them, isn't he, where clearly he's the next big star. Clearly he's the next big star. But it was always going to be the case that he wasn't going to get his limelight until Crawford moved up. No,
definitely. And, you know, it looks like he might have to move up himself if he's a bit tight at the weight. Yeah, listen, like I totally agree with that. It doesn't have to happen. You know, they're on different paths. I mean, Crawford wants to fight Canelo for one. You know, I think Crawford fights Canelo, and that's Crawford done. No matter what.
He ain't going to come back. He ain't going to come back down to super welterweight.
Exactly. I mean,
fighting Canelo super middleweight.
Yeah, I don't think that ends well for Crawford either.
No.
V Canelo, to be totally honest. I'd rather not see that.
It's a big jump into it.
Yeah, I mean, you're not just going up against someone bigger. You're going up against an elite level, you know, man who's 2 divisions bigger than you, and probably naturally 3 or 4 divisions bigger than you.
Height-wise, they're probably very similar.
Yeah, there's not a lot in it.
Canelo's spent years now at middleweight and super middleweight. He's properly filled out.
He's been to light heavy, you know,
into those weights. Whereas Crawford will be going and he'll be bulking just to make the weight.
Do you know the thing is, mate? Right, you could see Crawford was wary of Madrimov's power.
Yeah.
You know, so what's he going to do with V Canelo? You know, I think it'd be one of them. I think it'd be like a bit of a Khan situation. I think he'd be probably in front, may win first 5 rounds, but the pressure he'd be under would take its toll on him, and then he'd just get beaten up, I think.
Håkan, we're going off topic very slightly, but what's your feelings on Crawford Canelo? Does it ever happen?
I don't think it will happen, and I don't want to see it either. So that's my take on it.
Right, Håkan, back to Boots, and not meaning to spoil the next topic we're coming on to. Other than the person that we've got lined up on that next topic we've just spoke about, who else can you see Jaron fighting at welterweight rather than moving up to super welterweight for his next fight?
After the fight last night, I have seen post and on X, and it looks like the other champions in the division thinks that they have a better chance now. And they had the issue to get the fights over the line with Norman, Staniolis, and Barrios. But maybe that could be a unification now.
Very interesting. That it's a good point.
And I watched the presser after the fight, Matchroom presser on YouTube, and regarding the weight from Boots' team, they didn't felt that they had any issue with the weight.
I mean, Daz has said it. He didn't look weight drained to me. Didn't look like he was struggling in any part of the fight. He didn't look like he was knackered at any point. I don't think weight's an issue. I don't think weight's an issue. I think he just took the light quite lightly.
There's two go-to excuses for bad performances for boxers. They blame the trainer or they blame the weight. But fair play to Jerron, he's not blamed either. You know, it is what it is, isn't it? He's not said that. So
what I think, Eddie Hearn said it on the presser too, that they don't want to vacate the title. So I think they could stay at the way in the division, but I think that they might take a big one at the weight over that has been some talk about what we going to talk a little bit later.
Did he mention Virgil Ortiz, Akar, if I'm right?
Yes.
Yeah, I thought he did.
Yeah, that's what we're going to get onto, Daz. So I don't want to touch on that one just yet. That's on another topic. So other than Ortiz, because that'd be at super welterweight. I don't think that'd be at welterweight.
Super welter. Ortiz has one title there.
Yeah. So other than that, if he is sticking at welter, which I think he should, Orkan made a very good point there. Because of his lackluster performance last night, or under par performance for his standards, maybe these other champions in the division, maybe they think they've got a chance with him now.
Yeah, it looks like they feel that.
Who would you put him in with, Daz?
Conor Ben. At welter, I mean, if he's not going to vacate, he's got to look for unifications, hasn't he? He's got to look to go undisputed. So yeah, I'd probably chase that. To be fair, I think that's probably the best route for him to go. Okay.
Let's watch this space. I don't think he's going anywhere unless it's a Saudi Arabia 5v5, and he might move up for one fight, which we'll talk about as our second topic. Anyone watching this in the sidebar, we are going to go on to another topic, which is Golden Boy versus Matchroom 5v5 potential fights. But let's finish this card first. So straight on to, well, you can only now call him, Daz, one of the very best pound for pound in the world, and that's Jesse Bam Rodriguez. Last night, he defended his WBC Super Flyweight title against Pedro Guevara with a third round stoppage. This has come not as a shock, but I think everyone was expecting Guevara to last a lot longer in the fight than he did. Daz, I'll come to you first. How good was Bam?
Very, 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 very good. Just his presence in the ring, his feet, everything about him. He's a thinking fighter as well. Destructive puncher. Very. I'll tell you what it reminded me on. A bit of a young Barrera.
Yeah.
When Barrera first popped onto the scene, and Barrera beat Paul Lloyd and that over here. It just reminded me of a young Barrera. Very, very good. Very good.
That's his authority on the fight, don't he?
Yeah, mate, his feet are brilliant. His footwork is brilliant. You know, he just, you know, puts you under so much pressure just with his feet. You know, very, very good. Don't miss with many punches either.
No.
Don't waste a lot. Can hit very hard from short distances as well. Punches don't have to travel very far. He's obviously very heavy-handed. Yeah, it's going to take some stopping, mate. To be fair, I tell you a fight I'd love to see him. I'd love to see him with Junto Nakatani, mate.
Right.
You know, obviously Bam would have to move up for that as Junto's a bantam. But even that, I mean, they both talked about Bam and Junto as potential opponents for Inoue.
Yeah.
So, you know, they're going to have to probably fight each other and move up for that to happen. As for tackling Inoue, you know, I'm not quite sure he beats Inoue. I think I think they're both special, and they could probably fight 3 times, and this is biggest compliment I'm going to give anyone up against Inoue. They could probably fight 3 times, and it'd be 2-1 to Inoue. You know, yeah, amazing fight.
Do you think the size difference is the difference in that fight?
Not so much the size difference, because you got to think Inoue's come up from light flyweight.
Yeah, I get that, but obviously he's not settled.
Yeah, and I think, listen, I don't for 1 minute think Bam would rush into fighting Inoue. He wouldn't fight Inoue in his first fight at Super Bantam or something, you know, and he wouldn't fight Junto Nakatani in his first fight at Bantam. You know, he'll do things right.
Yeah.
You know, he's probably one of them who'd fight a top 5 guy at Bantam, and then, you know, he'd probably maybe do a job on him. And then, you know, if he feels like, yeah, I'm all right at this weight, then he'd go for Junto. I mean, what a fight that'd be. Bam v Junto. I mean, that'd be an unbelievable fight. Inoue is the pinnacle for me for them two, you know. But again, Bam doesn't have to fight Inoue. He doesn't have to rush to fight Inoue.
No.
You know, Inoue's at a different point. Inoue is probably going to go up to featherweight, you know, with next 2 or 3 fights.
Yeah.
And then if he can sort of unify or something at featherweight, Inoue might even call it a day. But yeah, Bam stole the show for me yesterday.
Yeah, I agree. Just before I come to Håkan, Carl in the sidebar is just watched it. One uppercut, beautiful.
Yeah, brilliant.
Great shot to finish, wasn't it?
Brilliant shot.
Yeah.
Håkan, commentary were pushing anyway all the way through the fight. Like, they try and make enough of a noise about it, and it's going to happen. It don't work like that, does it? The other name that seemed to be bandied about, especially by Eddie Hearn, because Eddie Hearn didn't go anywhere near Inoue. The other name that was being bandied about was Chocolatito.
Awful.
Chocolatito's done right.
Awful.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that fight could happen just for that Chocolatito is a big name. The other champions in the division is a much better fight.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean,
I can see the Chocolatito fight happening though.
Yeah,
because like you say, it's a big name, it's a big draw.
But Chocolatito's going to end up flat on his back.
Yeah,
you know, and he deserves. Listen, that just shows really sometimes the shortcomings of Eddie Hearn. You know what I mean? It just sometimes shows he's not a boxing man, and that might be crazy to say, but he's a businessman. You know, and I take my hat off to him. He's a very good one. But
he knows that fight's massive selling.
Yeah, But to proper boxing fans, mate, they're all going to say the same thing.
Yeah.
Do you not think Chocolatito deserves better, than put him with a young lion and end up flat on his back?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a bit, listen, have a bit more faith in Bam. You know what I mean? You can. Look for the other champions in the division. He's best in division. Look for other champions. If they don't want to know, then look at going up. It's not going to harm him.
Martinez would be a good fight.
Say that again, mate.
Martinez would be a good fight. WBA champion.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a bit surprised that Bam's not calling for unifications. He didn't say it once. I don't understand that.
No, listen, I think Bam lets his fist up talking, to be fair.
Yeah.
I think he's just one of them. He's a nice kid, and he knows he can fight, and he just gets on with it.
Okay, commenting the sidebar, Andrew Brown. Bam was exceptional. Ford, very good. Didn't watch Amo Williams, but really like his interview. Limited but big personality. Fair comment, isn't it?
Yeah, he went. I don't think he was brilliant in that fight, but you'd have thought he were in his interview because he was calling every middleweight on planet Art.
Which he's going to do, mate. Is what he wants to fight. Yeah. He wants to fight some big names, don't he?
Yeah.
I mean, what happened to Hamza Shiraz probably tells you what level he's currently at. That's not to say he can't improve and he can't get to that, though.
No, Hamza's a bit special, to be fair.
Yeah. Hamza and Janibek are very special in that weight, but the other champions, he would have a good chance against.
Yeah.
On that note, then, lads, let's move on to the next fight on the card. Raymond Ford moves up and fights his first fight at Super Feather against Orlando Gonzalez. Wins a unanimous points decision, 99-89, 100-88, and 100-88. Pretty straightforward, Daz.
Yeah, he was very good, mate. The knockdown with the right hook were brilliant. I mean, he were throwing, he was setting that shot up. He was throwing left hand, and then he just, faked the right and then turned it into an hook, turned it over, and it was very good. Listen, that kid who we fought was tough as nails.
Yeah.
Tough as nails, because that shot shook him to his boots. But Ford looked really, really powerful. Looked very powerful. I would have liked to have seen him run it back with Nick Ball, to be honest.
I think he struggled. He obviously struggled at the weight, mate, because he's moved up.
Yeah. I mean, that's obviously why he's gone up. But yeah, listen, it's a bit of a. Looks like it could be a bit of a force at Super Feather.
I was going to ask you that. It's a good division. There's some good names in there. Hawkan, how impressed were you with Ray Ford?
I was very impressed, but I was very surprised that Gonzalez could hang on after the knockdown. I thought the fight was over.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
So
sweet shot as well to put him down, and I thought it was done. But like Daz has just said, Gonzalez very, very tough.
Yeah.
So,
and I think
where do you put Ray Ford now? Who'd you put him in with?
I'm not sure about that. I haven't checked all the champions in the Super Feather, but an interim fight for a title, maybe.
Yeah, that's probably going to happen. Yeah, potential. What about Ray Ford against Lee Wood?
Yeah, that would be
as that for a fight. I mean, that could be a 5v5, couldn't it?
Yeah. Who do you think wins that?
Who do you think? Who do you think I think wins that?
You think Lee beats him?
Oh, of course, mate. Easy work.
What do you think?
No, good fight. But I think you're going to see a very, very dynamic Lee Wood when he's back.
Yeah.
I know he's been out a long while and he's coming to the end of his career, let's say, twilight of his career. That weight for Lee Wood is going to be massive. That extra weight for Lee Wood is going to be massive. He kills him. He was killing himself to make feather.
You could see it. Yeah, you could see it.
You know, you saw it. He's admitted it himself. I mean, it's not a massive amount of weight extra, but those extra few pounds,
£4, isn't it?
£4. Those extra few pounds, mate, will make a massive difference to Lee in training.
Yeah, make a difference to give you a bit of leeway.
I'm very, very. I can't wait. To be honest, I know it's going to come across like I'm biased, and I don't really care. But I can't wait for Lee to be back out and show what he's about at this weight.
Listen, I like Lee myself. You know, he's a nice kid. Spoke to him a couple of times at shows, but yeah, really nice kid. Good fighter as well, and also he's done it the hard way. Yeah, he's learned from losses. He's not, he's not just gone away and thought, whatever, just keep doing the same thing. And when he's moved trainers for a reason. He's not just done it to, try and freshen up his mindset. He's done it to freshen up his skill set as well.
And it's worked.
Which is what's happened with Ben. Perfect fit.
Yeah. Absolutely, mate. I mean, I could see that fight happening. Why not? I mean, you don't even have to be a 5v5 now. With the way that the landscape's changed on DAZN, the fact that Matchroom and Queensbury, is it March next year?
I think
Queensbury move over to DAZN.
April.
April. So come April next year, that fight could land on any show on DAZN, any show on Matchroom, any show on Queensbury. Yeah. They're going to do joint shows as we already know. That fight's a fantastic fight. It's a shame. It's a shame. I think Lee needs one fight at the weight against someone maybe top 10, just to get him back out again, because it's been over a year out of the ring after injury. So I'd like to see him in one fight just to brush off those cobwebs and just see where he's at, and then get him straight into either a world title fight or a final eliminator. Ray Ford could be a final eliminator.
I mean, Ray Ford v Lee in an IBF eliminator for winner of Kakashi and Nunes, and
it sounds ideal to me. Sounds ideal. It'd be easy to make. I think we'll see that happen, mate. I really do.
Be good.
A Telfa Barrett fight for Lee would be good.
That's not a bad shot either,
mate. Yeah, that's a good one as well. Yeah,
that's not a bad shot either. Yeah. Obviously, with what Zelfa did to Lee's best mate. Very interesting. That why not? Yeah. I mean, that'd be a good first fight back for Lee.
Yeah.
And I thought that fight would be for a couple of months ago. I thought that was made for the Monte Carlo card, but it didn't happen.
Well, let's see. I mean, Lee's a free agent, as everybody knows. So let's see where he lands. Let's see what platform he lands, what channel he lands on, what promoter he lands with.
We've got these and all this huge boxing as well. They're putting shows on, aren't they?
Yeah. Huge boxing having a show December 13th with 5 Matchroom fighters.
It's Charlie
Sims. That's your call.
Yep. Charlie Sims and his dad, Tony. It's like a joint thing, I think.
It was announced the other day.
Yeah, Maisie Rose and Shannon Ryan are on it, I think.
Yes, and Paddy Donovan and George Leder will headline, so that would be a decent opponent he will face then.
Is that your call?
Yeah.
Yes.
Good show. Very good show. Right, lads, moving on. This is what I was talking about a bit ago. So we can go straight in with the one that we were about to discuss. The obvious one. So just a little bit of background. This has been talked about, whispered about for a long while. Oscar De La Hoya keeps putting tweets out, messages out, trying to entice Matchroom into making a 5v5. Looks like it's happening. They've pretty much agreed most of the fights. So let's just go through a few of them that are potentials, and let's see how you feel those fights go. The first one that looks like it's been agreed by both camps is Virgil Ortiz versus Jaron Ennis at super welterweight. Daz.
I'm not going to change my mind about Boots. I think he's an exceptional fighter, but he's got to iron some of them flaws out before fighting Ortiz, to be fair. But they're not major flaws. It's just, I think it's just a bit of concentration and focus. Maybe he's got to have his hands up after he's thrown. Can't be relying on leaning back and turning to the side and stuff like that. He should know better, to be fair. He should, and he does know better.
Yeah.
His dad knows better as well. So he's going to go into that dressing room last night and he's going to know he underperformed. He's going to know he wasn't great. So I think his next fight is going to be a bit of a, yeah, right, let's get serious now. And he's gonna want to look good. So I think if he fought Ortiz, I think he beats Ortiz up, to be fair. Yeah. If he uses what he's got and what he's capable of, I think he beats Ortiz up.
Just a little, sorry, Daz, just to jump in before I come to Hawkan on this one, a little sidetrack on this. Carl in the sidebar has put, Lee's got to get out, get rid of the ring rust. And Andrew Brown has put, what do we think Wood versus Warrington is dead? Warrington's retired, Andrew. I don't think any amount of money brings him back out. I think he's happy with his lot. I think he realises that he didn't have anything left in that last fight against Kakache. That wouldn't change if it was Lee Wood in the opposite corner. I think Warrington knows that. I think he's happy with his decision as well. That fight should have happened, and it should have happened straight after the other one at the City Ground. A lot of things went wrong there, and to be honest with you, a lot of it was Nottingham Forest not making it happen. I think Matchroom had agreed it, Warrington had agreed it, Lee Wood had agreed it, and it just didn't happen because Forest didn't have the date. And you can blame Take That and Daz's wife. Sue's to blame. Right.
Have you had that package? Yes. Yeah.
It's all your fault. Hey, it's all your fault, Sue.
Mate, she's not happy with you. She's just booted dog.
I think I better watch myself next time I see her, mate.
Yeah.
Right. Back to the topic then, Hawkan. How do you see Virgil Ortiz versus Boots playing out? It's interesting, isn't it? Because they were both touted as the next big thing at welterweight. Virgil was sat at number one for ages. Boots was sat at number one in a different ranking with a different governing body for ages. They never faced each other. They should have. Both, young kids. So obviously then Ortiz moves up. Interesting fight. Hawkan, how do you see it playing out?
Yeah, after I saw Virgil Ortiz last fight, I believe that the Boots will win that fight too. When Ortiz fought, now I forgot the name, the Ukrainian. On the Las Vegas show, is that the fight, the Tom Loeffler fighter, that was it was a very close fight, and Tom Loeffler thought that they should have got the decision.
Right.
Boachuk. Sergey Boachuk.
Yeah, Boachuk. Sergey Boachuk. Yes. After I saw that fight, I think that Boots Ennis would win that fight, but it will be a good fight and a close one. But I'm sticking with Boots to win on a close points decision or a late stoppage.
Okay. The second fight being touted is a lightweight fight between the number 3 versus the number 4 in the Ring Magazine rankings. That's William Zepeda versus Shakur Stevenson. Håkan, I'll come to you first. What a fight that is.
Yes, it is. But I think that Shakur Stevenson will handle Zepeda and will win on a unanimous decision. There haven't been a fight that has been close to Shakur. There have been fairly some boring fights to watch as a fan, but he hasn't had an opponent that had he has been have been Shakur hadn't had an opponent that had been a close fight even. So I think Shakur wins it.
Daz, I'm not as convinced as Håkan. I think this is a very, very, very close fight. William Zepeda is an absolute animal at lightweight.
Yeah, he is. But listen, I think Shakur wins, but he's never going to have been put under the pressure that he's going to be put under from Zepeda.
No.
Zepeda's really pretty much got nothing to fear power-wise from Shakur. He's going to punch him everywhere. He's going to punch Shakur Stevenson everywhere. He's going to punch him on his arms. He's probably going to hit him low on blinds. He's going to just absolutely try and punch holes in him. But said that, I mean, listen, I think Shakur Stevenson's a special fighter. But also William Zepeda could be a special fighter.
I think he is.
You know, this could be our generation's Meldrick Taylor and Julio Cesar Chavez. Do you know what I mean? It could easily. You know, listen, I'm not saying Zepeda's as good as Chavez for 1 minute. And up to yet, Shakur's probably not as good as what Meldrick Taylor was, but he probably will end up better.
It's interesting, isn't it? I mean, playing devil's advocate a little bit, has Shakur faced anyone as good as Zepeda yet?
Probably not anyone as hungry and in their actual fighting. Well, I mean, is Zepeda in his prime yet? I mean, he might be a little bit away from that, but he's absolutely hungry, isn't he? And he's just a wrecking machine.
Yeah.
I mean, look what he did. Look what he did to Max. Listen, no disrespect, but Max Hughes is Max Hughes. But look what he did. You know what I mean? He's a monster. He's an absolute monster. This is like Chavez v. Meldrick Taylor for me. Maybe not on the same level, but it's going to be up there. Listen, I think it's a fantastic fight, and if I'm going to back Shakur to win, but it's one of them. If Zepeda does win, you're not going to be overly surprised, if that makes sense. It's not going to be a massive shock. But I think if Shakur beats Zepeda and, beats him, 3 or 4 rounds, we're all going to have to basically hail Shakur Stevenson, aren't we?
Like that.
But listen, this is going to be an appetite whetter as well, because Zepeda's fighting next week. Fighting Tevin Farmer next week. Listen, Tevin Farmer, probably not what he was, but still capable. Now, Zepeda blows him away or overwhelms him for, a mid-round stoppage, and we're all going to be saying, oh, God, Shakur's probably, he's got to be on his game here, hasn't he? But, yeah, brilliant fight. Brilliant fight.
Okay. Next on the list, We're moving now to super lightweights. The winner of Ramirez versus Barbosa, potentially facing Jack Catterall. Daz, come to you first on that one.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm going to go with Ramirez to win.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think so, but not against Catterall. I think he's going to beat.
Oh yeah, he'll beat Barbosa.
Yeah, I think Ramirez is going to beat Barbosa. And so that's what I mean. So I think it'd be him v Catterall. Yeah. Mate, honestly, I don't like the way Catterall fights sometimes.
I know.
You know, the way he fought against Prograis, that first 6 rounds were awful. He could have come unstuck there. He really could have come unstuck because I had him losing near enough all them 6 rounds. He didn't do anything. You can't do that at elite level. But Prograis, as we discussed, is not at that level anymore. Yeah, listen, I just think he could probably bore Ramirez into making mistakes, if I'm honest. You know,
I think I have a slightly different take on it. I think Catterall's a much better talent than
he is.
I think a lot of people on our show think.
Yeah, he is. Hear me out, though. Hear me out. When I say bore him into mistakes, I don't mean that in a disrespectful way.
I know you don't.
Right. I mean that in a way that he's not going to take undue risks. He's very calculated. He's a thinking fighter. He's very skillful. But I think Ramirez is that Latino fire, and he wouldn't want that. He'd want to engage, and I think he'd try and push it. And he'd probably look at Catterall and think he can't punch. He'd probably think he could just walk through Catterall.
Does he fall? I mean, again, playing devil's advocate, does he fall straight into Catterall's trap doing that?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what's going to work for Catterall. The almost negative way of fighting is going to play into Catterall's hands, because I think Ramirez is going to try and push it. And I think Ramirez will make mistakes, and I think Catterall will punish him for them. As much as what I say, as much as what I say, Catterall's boring, and I mean it in a good way. I don't mean it in a disrespectful way to him. I think it's you've got to agree that you can't fight like he fought them first 6 rounds against Prograis, against such as Ramirez, and against the elite in that division. You can't give rounds away. If that had been in America, do you think he's getting any of them rounds? I don't think he would.
Maybe not. Maybe not. I see what you're saying, because the American judges do tend to.
He was very negative though, Andy, weren't he?
Don't they?
He was very negative though, weren't he? In them first 6 rounds, it were, and you can't do that at elite level. You cannot do that. And do you know the thing is as well, I don't think he needs to be that negative either.
No.
He's got a fantastic jab when he uses it. But yeah, I think Catterall beats Ramirez.
Can. First and foremost, does Ramirez beat Barbosa?
I believe Ramirez beat Barbosa on November 16th. And I think
this potential fight with Catterall, and how does that one play out?
I think it will be a very close fight, and I think when it's a few years back, but Ramirez did very well against Josh Taylor for the Undisputed when they fought, and his only loss. So I think Ramirez will be a tough fight for Catterall. So I will go for a majority or split decision. I think it could go to points, but majority or split decision for Catterall, but it will be a really tough fight for Catterall.
Okay. Fight number 4 on the potential list. Super middleweight bout. The number 1 versus the number 4 in the rankings. Jaime Munguia versus Pacheco. Håkan, let's have your take first, mate.
First, I think if they agreed over 5 versus 5, I think that Munguia could go back for that fight to fight for Golden Boy in a 5 versus 5. He's on top rank now.
Yeah.
His second top ranked fight next. But I think it's a possibility that he could be on a 5 versus 5, even though he's fought for top rank now.
Oscar De La Hoya is obviously very confident that he's going to get Munguia for this if he needs him.
Yes.
Otherwise, he wants to put this out as a potential fight, I'm guessing.
Yes. That's why I believe it too. So when I've heard it from Golden Boy, that they have suggest that fight. And I think Munguia will win that fight against Pacheco. I think it's that big fight might be too early for Pacheco.
Yeah, I agree. Does you see it any different?
I quite like that fight, to be fair. I think it'll be a good one.
It is a good fight.
Yeah, I think it'll be a good one. They've both sort of, they were both like really hyped up as the next big things, weren't they? Really, really like touted. And they've both put in some performances that weren't great at times. I think I'd just edge this one to Munguia, to be fair.
I think Munguia's the clear number 2 in the division, mate.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, though. Just going a little bit off topic, back to the Boots Ennis card. The kid who beat Khalil Cole last night, I think he's lost to Pacheco, I believe. I think Pacheco stopped him, and he lost another fight early on. But last night he looked a right handful. He did look very
Manuel Gallegos.
Yeah, looked very, very heavy-handed and tough as nails as well. And I think he was super middle. Obviously he's moved up, so it's probably a bit off thingy. But he looked really, really tough. So Pacheco obviously can bang. Pacheco's obviously got good power to be stopping him, because he ate shots off Khalil Cole last night, flush on chin, spinning his head, and just kept coming forward. There were that hard shots that were knocking him off balance, but then he was straight back to it. So yeah, I think Pacheco carries a threat, but I just think the more seasoned at the minute is Munguia. So
yeah, Munguia's had double the amount of fights as Pacheco.
Yeah, I think I just edge it to Munguia, to be fair.
Okay, and the last one on the list potential is Duarte versus Haney. Daz, come to you first.
I want to see Devin Haney back at ring, if I'm honest.
Yeah,
I want to see him back in.
What's gone off in the media, mate? Doesn't make Haney look great, does it?
No. Listen, I still think he's an amazing fighter. He's still a brilliant fighter. Just all this, this we Garcia through no fault of his own was madness. But yeah, listen, I still think he's a fantastic fighter, and I still think he beats Duarte, to be fair.
Just before I come to Håkan, his dad's not out this situation.
No, mate, his dad's a bit of a pillock, to be fair, a bit looks of it. don't really, obviously, I don't know him, but yeah, mate. You know what? It's very, very rare that you get a father-son relationship that works. You know, in boxing. I mean, listen, Bosie Ennis and Jaron seem to work together, work well. You know, obviously you've got Enzo Calzaghe and Joe. I mean, that was an amazing relationship. I think that was an amazing relationship because Enzo was able to do what Bill Haney can't do and differentiate from father and trainer. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I heard stories about Enzo Calzaghe with Joe. You know, listen, and you know, apparently he said once that morning alarm goes off, I'm trainer, not father. And then, you know, once training's done for the day, I'm back to being dad. But yeah, I mean, that's what you've got to do. You've got to differentiate between being a father and a trainer, I think. And I don't think Bill Haney can do that. Which listen, it's hard. You know, I've no doubt it's an hard thing to do.
Yeah, it's very, very emotionally involved, though, don't it?
Yeah, it's an hard thing to do. And I don't like to harp on about it, but listen, look at John Fury. Even though we don't agree with what he does, Tyson's his son.
Yeah.
You know, and I tell you another person who does it really well, who seems to do it really well, is Peter Fury. Peter Fury seems to be able to differentiate probably between father and trainer. You know,
because Peter's very level-headed, mate. That's
yeah, he is. You know, there is, you know, that do work like that, but I just don't think Bill Haney seems to be able to do that. I mean, he comes out with some really strange things sometimes, and I mean, I remember the Garcia fight. Some of the attire the footwear that Devon Haney were wearing. You know, you see him on shelf at Flannels for like 800 quid, Balenciaga slippers. And it's like, come on, are you having a laugh? You know, I mean, there's no way they can be, you know, suitable. You know, listen, he obviously got paid an hell of a lot of money to wear them. Obviously got paid an hell of a lot of money. But yeah, Bill Haney's not doing Devon any favours at all.
I think he had better success when there was another voice in that corner. Ben Davis.
They had Ben in there, didn't they? But you've got to think as well. Boxing trainers sometimes have a massive ego.
Yep.
You know what I mean? They have a big ego where when you're an head trainer or someone, you know, sometimes they think that they can't be told anything. You know, it's just how it is. Some head trainers have massive egos, and that's a problem. You know, if you can't accept, you know, if you can't accept that you have not got eyes in the back of your head and you can't do everything, then you've got an issue. You know, you've got to you've got to accept help, and you know why wouldn't you accept another pair of eyes? You know, why wouldn't you accept another point of view? You might not agree.
I think what Ben did for Haney is, well, not just Ben, it would be Team Ben. Was the technical stuff, the figures, the facts, the figures, breaking stuff down of each of Haney's opponents and looking for the weak spots. That in my opinion is what Ben and Team Davison do brilliantly well for all of the fighters.
To be fair, Bill Haney should be doing that anyway.
Maybe he just isn't. That's just not his game.
Maybe so. So if that's the case, then why get rid of someone who can do that? You know what I mean? It's crazy, mate. It is. Listen, if you don't get on with Ben, get someone else in who can do it.
Yeah.
If that's the case, you know, I mean, what would you think if you saw a fighter? You know, if you've got a fighter and you take him into a world title fight, right? And you stand in ring, and you've got your team, And then you see a fighter come into the ring with Emmanuel Stewart and then Freddie Roach there and all, you're going to think, oh, shit. You know what I mean? Yeah. You know, listen, it's just how it is. You know, I think Ben's a very good trainer.
Yeah.
But like any trainer, he fits with some fighters and he don't fit with others, like we all do. Yeah, like we all do, you know. Yeah. But he obviously takes the time to break down opponents and to watch opponents. So why wouldn't you want that? Listen, like I said, it's egos sometimes in head trainers. You know, there's a lot of head trainers, mate, who have just got listen, their ego outweighs their ability, to be fair.
Yeah.
You know, on a big scale. And you see that in fights when it comes down to crunch.
You do see a lot of trainers that have made the name off of one particular fighter. That fighter could have potentially, and no disrespect to the trainer, that fighter could have potentially done what he did with numerous other trainers. But that particular trainer's made his name off of that one fighter, and because of that, he's got other fighters that he's done absolutely nothing.
Listen, it happens. It happens all the time. I mean, do you not think that if, I don't know, let's pick someone. Pick a fighter, Terence Crawford. Right. Do you not think that if I trained Terence Crawford for 8 weeks, he'd still go in there and beat Matchroom?
Yeah, of course.
Even if I told him to his training methods were to, you know, moonwalk all day in gym. You know what I mean? But still go for a run though. But yeah, just moonwalk for an hour in gym listening to Michael Jackson. You know, he'd still have beat Matchroom because he's. And I get what some people say sometimes about people inherit fighters who are already established, right? But I tell you what, as someone who is, I guess you'd say, inherited fighters who are already established, the fact that you and I'll say this about Ben as well. You know, Ben obviously had fighters who were already established, but to be able to have the knowledge to give a new perspective to these fighters who are already established says something about you. In my book,
you command the respect from those fighters as well.
Yeah, it says something about you, mate. Listen, I'm talking from my personal point of view. I've had, you know, a fighter who's established, and she listens to me, and you know, respects what I say as I do her. So I think, listen, I must be pretty good at what I do. You know, for someone who's established to listen, equally as much as someone who's not established, and that same goes for Ben.
Of course.
You know, and other fighters as well. Listen, it's not just Ben, and obviously not just me, but other fighters. You know, other trainers inherit fighters, and sometimes it don't work, sometimes it does.
What's that famous saying, Daz? A change is as good as a rest.
Yeah, but also, you see, a saying I like as well is you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. You know, it's listen, it's oh god, yeah, I didn't even need to look, did I? Didn't even need to look.
Oh dear, you has to, don't you?
Well, to be fair, he'd have met Nick's previous training if he just actually turned up to gyms. Instead of sitting in his bedroom. But yeah, you know, it's just how it is. It's very, very fickle sport.
It is indeed. Hawkan, before this starts getting a bit naughty between Carl and Daz, let me get your take on Duarte versus Haney.
I think Devin Haney will win that fight pretty easy. Unanimous decision. I think he will dominate Duarte.
Is this? I mean, obviously, Golden Boy are picking Duarte because they think Haney is in a difficult position at the minute. But in reality, is this the ideal fight for Haney to come back? That's
I think so. I think the fight that was talked about, Liam Paro fight, would have been much tougher.
Yeah.
That was talked about as an Aussie homecoming for Liam Paro before they decided to have the Liam Paro fight in Puerto Rico.
Yep. Another comment in the sidebar from Cole, a little bit more sensible. This one does. It's put there. There's another saying, however, if it isn't broken, why fix it?
Yeah.
There are a lot of fighters, aren't there, that seem to change trainers for the sake of changing trainers at times.
Yeah, I can only put that down to it must be personal reasons. If everything's going good in the ring and stuff, it must be down to personal reasons. To be fair, that's all I can think.
I've seen a number of them recently.
Yeah,
that's all. I agree with you. We none of us know what goes on behind closed doors.
No, that's all I can think of. I can't put it. And to be fair, if a fighter's not happy, then that's what matters. They've got to move, or they've got to do something to change that. Do you know what? Listen, I'm not saying that these fighters that have left trainers don't do this, but I would like to think that if this thing's happening that the fighter doesn't like, and if they can be fixed, sit down and have a chat about it. Rather than just upping sticks and going. But listen, it's not always that easy, is it? It's not always that straightforward. But yeah, I mean, I've had fighters go, and it happens. It's not personal, but I always say to fighters, listen, you've got to be happy because you're the one getting in there, getting punched in the face. An happy fighter is a dangerous fighter.
So they say. Cole said his name's Chantel Cameron as a fighter that springs to mind recently that looks like she's moved from what was a perfect trainer, perfect team. She's obviously gone from Jamie Moore, who won her undisputed super lightweight titles. She then goes and she goes up and fights. Excuse me. She goes up and fights the next weight up. Destroys the champion up there. She then fights Katie Taylor in the first fight. Destroys her. Things didn't go quite the same way in the second fight, and then she moves trainer. She's now with Grant Smith. She's had 2 fights with Grant Smith. But you speak to her pre-fight and you speak to her post-fight. Every interview she's done, mate, she says she's really, really happy. She's in a really happy place at the minute with Grant. And I think that's just one where a fighter's got to a position where she thinks she's gone as far as she can with a particular coach, unless something has gone off.
Yeah. Listen,
it's maybe one that on the outside looks to me like she feels in herself she's perhaps gone as far as she can. And she needed something different, a new outlook and a new voice. Anything.
The thing is with that though, Chantel at this stage of her career is never going to turn into a different style of boxer.
No.
So I sort of think, well, going to, a style that's clearly a bit uncomfortable for her, is that the greatest move? She, under Jamie and Nigel, she were like catch and counter, pressure fighter, and look what she achieved.
Yeah.
And yeah, the second Katie Taylor fight, yeah, it was a close fight. Could have gone either way again. Another one of them.
Agreed.
But it's like it reads to me, and this is none of anyone's business, that it was for personal reasons why she left. And that's only her and Jamie know that. And I'm sure Jamie respected her decisions, and I'm sure she respected, Jamie's. But yeah, I just don't like that style. I just don't think you can change styles. I mean, it's proven. You can't just go and change your style. Look what happens. You come unstuck. I've seen that firsthand. Do you know what I mean? You try and change someone, and it's no good. You've got to listen. I believe firmly as a trainer, get as much experience as you can before you're a trainer. Learn how to teach every style there is. There's not that many. You've got aggressive, defensive. You've got boxer puncher. It's very simple. You know what I mean? Honestly, mate, people might like frown at this and think, what's he on about? It's simple. Boxing's simple. Straight punchers get there faster than hooks. If you've got your hands up, you're less likely to get hit on chin. You know what I mean? It's not hard. You know what I mean? Run further than your opponent's going to run, so you'll be fitter. Just it's simple. Work everything off the jab. The jab's the key. It unlocks every door. Move your head. And take your feet with you when you're punching. It's not hard. It's not a diploma, is it? People just like overcomplicate it. I think, it's like throw a jab, then do 5 pirouettes and a little curtsy and then throw a right hook. Do you know what I mean? It's like, listen, throw your jab and then throw your right. It's just daft sometimes. But I think if you're stuck in a certain way of training people and someone comes to you, and if you're training someone in a style that's elusive and reflexes, and then you've got someone comes to you who's a pressure fighter, who's come forward and catch and counter and all that. If you can't teach on that and build on that, then I think it's detrimental to the fighter, if I'm honest.
He's proper got it in for you tonight, mate.
Why? What's he saying now?
Yeah, I'm just noting these down. Slow down.
Talk sense to me, don't I?
He's also put, speaking about Chantel Cameron, and this show's all about opinions, mate. He's also put, she has to put a brave face on. I don't think she has 10 fights with Grant. Watch this space.
Mate, she might not have 10 fights left in her career.
Potentially.
Do you know what I mean?
Evening that guy, by the way.
She might not have 10 fights left in her career. Who knows?
It's just Daz, it's one of them. I completely see what you've just said, though, because I've been and seen a few gyms now, and I've been around you, and I've been around other coaches, and to me, I agree with you with what you're saying. And people are going to shoot me down because I'm not a boxer and I'm not a trainer. I'm just a lad that does a show that loves his boxing, that's been watching boxing since he could, as far as I can remember. And I think my opinion, I think I have quite a decent opinion at times. But I sit and watch, and I've done that with a number of trainers in a number of gyms, and to me, the talent of a very, very good trainer is to get across those basic things that you've just said, is to get them across in the right manner to make that fighter the most effective person that fighter can be. And to understand which of those styles suits that particular fighter best.
Yeah, 1,000,000%. I mean, listen, I'll get people watching this and saying, well, who's he trained? Who's he trained? Who's he? But, listen, I'll put in, me, I'm straight to the point. I don't give a fuck. Do you know what I mean? I don't really give a fuck. End of the day, I know that if someone walks into a gym where I'm at, if they're aggressive, box fighter, I can teach them. I can coach them that way. If they come in and they're on back foot elusive, I can coach them that way.
Yeah.
I can teach all styles. Do you know what I mean? I can train a Mexican. I can train an American. I can train a Filipino. I can train any style because I've listened and I've learned. I can't admit it, obviously, because my back's fucked. So that's another that's another story. But yeah, so
You'll
I'm
get
not
there,
really,
mate. You'll get there. You'll get there.
yeah, well,
We'll look
you
for it.
know, listen, hope so, but it's not looking great at the minute. But but I know that when I'm, you know, when I'm fit and able, I can coach any style, you know. So yeah, I'm happy with that. You know, and that's just from taking in everything that you see, you learn, you know, you listen. Just that's just what I do. Do you know what I mean? It's like I've got a bit of a philosophy as well. We like pads. You know, when I was holding pads, it if you if you hold pads for somebody, you know, I try minimally to. I don't meet the punch because then you're not allowing your fighter to judge distance properly. You're judging distance for him.
Yeah.
You know, and also like a lot of people I see watching other trainers do these flashy pad routines, and then you see trainers trying to copy them, and I think, well, you're copying something that your fighter's never going to use in ring. If you've got someone who marches forward as though they're in sludge, and then you've got them throwing combinations like Floyd on pads, it's just not going to work, is it? So I always think if you've got like a fighter who's, let's say, aggressive, and then I prefer to mimic things that I see on a fighter doing. Do you know what I mean? So you can mimic. Listen, if you're watching Trinidad, let's say, so tall boxer puncher on pads, mimic what he did really well. Touch upstairs, left up to body. You know, just simple things like that. Just mimic things that your fighter's going to use. You know, not things that you think look good when you put it on social media. See how many likes you can get.
Very good point, mate. And I think that is a very, very good position to bring the show to a close. Thank you to everyone in the sidebar. That guy, Carl. Thanks for your comments, lads. This has been Last Bell Boxing. We do this show on a Sunday. Every Sunday is a review from the card from the Saturday night previous. Our main show is a Thursday. Evening at 7 o'clock every Thursday. We talk topics that are in the news. We talk fights coming up for the following week. If this is your first time watching the show, like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, and you'll get notification when we go live. You'll also get notifications when new videos and interviews drop on the channel. Thanks for joining Last Bell Boxing, and we'll see you on Thursday. Cheers, guys.